I remember the first time I told my family I was quitting my corporate job to chase what they called a ridiculous dream. I was sitting around the dinner table, my hands trembling slightly as I laid out my plans. To build affordable wind turbines for remote communities, to bring power where there was only darkness. My father's fork clattered to his plate, and my mother's eyes narrowed in disbelief. "You're wasting your life," my father snapped. "All those years studying engineering, and now you want to play with windmills? That's a pipe dream." "You'll fail, just like everyone else who dares to be different," my brother scoffed. "You'll be back in a year, crying that you're broke and a failure. We're not proud of you chasing after stupid ideas." They mocked me relentlessly. I was naive, I was foolish, and I was an embarrassment. They couldn't see the fire burning inside me, the unshakable belief that I could make a difference, that my work could change lives. I felt the sting of their words, but I also felt something else, an unbreakable resolve. That night, I made the decision. I would leave behind the safe, familiar world of corporate profits and political games. I would chase this dream, not just for me, but for every remote community waiting in darkness. I knew the path would be brutal, lined with skepticism, failure, and setbacks, but I was willing to walk it. The first years were hell. I scraped together every penny I had, designed prototypes in my cramped garage, and pitched my idea to anyone willing to listen. The industry elites ridiculed me, laughed at my naive designs, dismissed my work as children's toys. Yet I kept going, driven by that impossible hope. And then, slowly, things started to change. My turbines began to work reliably, providing power to villages in the mountains and deserts where no grid had ever dared to reach. The communities thrived. Gardens bloomed atop barren hills. Children's laughter echoed in places once forgotten. Every success felt like a punch in the gut to my critics, a middle finger to their doubting voices. But just as I was beginning to taste victory, betrayal struck. A trusted partner, someone I considered a friend, sabotaged my prototype. A leak to industry rivals, a planted flaw in my designs, an attempt to discredit me entirely. Overnight, my reputation was in ruins. Investors backed away. The media labeled me a fraud. I was blacklisted, shunned, even by those who once believed in my vision. I hit rock bottom. It felt like all my efforts had been for nothing. The mockery, the betrayal, it was too much. I wanted to give up. But deep inside, I knew I had to rebuild. Not just my work, but my life. I retreated from the limelight, rethought everything. I worked tirelessly, reinventing my turbines, making them more affordable and durable. I traveled to remote regions, building smaller, more efficient wind units with my own hands. I faced rejection after rejection, but each failure only sharpened my resolve. Years passed. My work spread like wildfire. Governments adopted my designs. Organizations partnered with me. I became a leader in renewable energy solutions, transforming deserts into lush ecosystems, barren hills into thriving farms. I proved what was once called naive was actually revolutionary. And then, one day, I decided to go back home, to face the ghosts of my past. I was invited to speak at a conference, but I didn't tell anyone I was coming to my town. I wanted the surprise, the raw truth of seeing what I had become through their eyes. The day I arrived, I headed straight to my childhood home. The landscape had changed. What was once a dusty, neglected backyard was now a vibrant garden, full of life. My parents still lived there, older, weathered, but still proud of their family. I could see their faces tense when I walked in. "Son," my father said, voice thick with emotion, "we heard you're doing well, but we never believed." Before he could finish, I nodded. "I did what I set out to do. I didn't fail. You failed to see my vision. I turned your doubts into my fuel." Then I took them outside, where a small wind turbine spun gently in the breeze. I pressed a button, and a floodlight flickered on, illuminating the garden. I explained how each turbine was built with care, how it provided power to dozens of homes, how it changed lives. Their eyes widened as they saw the truth with their own eyes. This wasn't just some naive dream. It was real. It was tangible. It was a testament to resilience. My mother's hand trembled as she reached out to touch the turbine. "We were wrong," she whispered. "We didn't see what you saw. We doubted you because we were afraid you'd get hurt." I looked at them, tears in my eyes. "You're allowed to be afraid." But I hope you understand. Sometimes the greatest failures are the ones born from dismissing someone's dreams. I proved that persistence, faith, and a little bit of crazy hope can change the world. The silence was thick, but then my father placed a hand on my shoulder. "We're proud of you, son. You proved us wrong in the best way." That moment, standing in the sunlight, I realized something profound. The world often mocks what it doesn't understand. But true success isn't about popularity or approval. It's about staying true to your vision, no matter how impossible it seems. And in the end, the greatest triumph isn't just the turbines turning in the wind. It's the transformation of doubts into belief, of mockery into admiration, of failure into undeniable victory. I left that day knowing I had finally earned my place, not just as an engineer, but as a testament to resilience, hope, and the power of never giving up on your dreams. That's the real renewable energy, fueling the soul, igniting change, and proving that sometimes the most ridiculous ideas are the ones that change the world.